So we have a very muscular model here, and we are going to talk about muscles of the pharynx now, because I don't think he talked much about the esophagus. So we are going to look within, and it will be a hassle to toss all of these out, but what we can do is shave it down. So this is what we did. Oops. Okay. We shave it down to where we can see most of what we need to see. So go one more. So these are the ones that she talked about. She talked about 5. So we have the superior constrictor. So if I bring it back, or even if I pop in to right where the nasopharynx is, that's where our first muscle that she talked about, the superior pharyngeal constrictor. And for our superior pharyngeal constrictor, it originates from the medial thyroid plate, which would be somewhere up here. And Pterygomandibular raphe, that that's on the skeletal model where our mandible will be. So in that area, skull, and alveolar process. So in the insertion would be the posterior median pharyngeal raphe and the pharyngeal tubercle, which would be where the pharynx starts, I'm assuming. And its function is to swallow, and so I'm about to talk about that. And the innervation here will be the pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve. And the next 4 that we're going to be talking about, well, almost 4 of them, and out of 3 of them would be innervated by these pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve. And I think almost all of them have blood supply from the ascending pharyngeal artery, and and the second supply always varies. So for our first one, we have the superior pharyngeal constrictor swallowing pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve and the ascending pharyngeal artery. We'll move on down to around the nasopharynx, where we have the middle pharyngeal constrictor, which originates from the lesser corner of the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone is in there. I don't know if I can find it, but maybe another time. Let's save time. It's yeah, posterior of the hyoid bone and the stylohyoid ligament. So if I remember from oral cavity lecture where the stylohyoid ligament is, we have the hyoid bone. Yeah, maybe another time. But it inserts in the posterior median pharyngeal raphe, same as the superior posterior median pharyngeal raphe. Posterior median pharyngeal raphe for the middle, and the superior pharyngeal constrictor. Its function is also to swallow, because when it constricts, it's probably it's striated, and it's striated involuntary for swallow. Innervation, pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve, there's probably another one, but to keep it simple, pharyngeal plexus. The blood supply to that area would be the superior thyroid artery. I told you the second one always will also vary, and the ascending pharyngeal artery, same as the first one. Ascending pharyngeal artery and ascending palatine artery. This second one was superior thyroid artery and the ascending pharyngeal artery. So that is that for the middle pharyngeal artery. Now we go down towards the inferior thyroid constrictor. That is another one that is innervated by the pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve. So it's the third one that's innervated by the same one. Now, originates from the oblique line of the thyroid cartilage, the cricoid cartilage between the origin of the cricothyroides muscle and the inferior cornea. That was then inserts in the pharyngeal raphe. So the first two inserted at the posterior median pharyngeal raphe. Let's confirm that. And we have posterior median pharyngeal raphe, and the inferior only inserts at the pharyngeal raphe. No posterior or yeah. So its function is also to swallow, and it's innervated by external branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. Remember, we said that the superior laryngeal nerve is also our internal laryngeal nerve, which is found in the piriform fossa, where foreign bodies can be lodged in. And when foreign bodies gets lodged in there, and you go to take it out, you risk cutting the internal or superior laryngeal nerve, which will cause hoarseness of the voice. So you have that. Then it's also innervated by pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve, right? You have the pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve. Now the blood supply would be same ascending pharyngeal artery. That's the same as middle ascending pharyngeal artery and superior ascending pharyngeal artery superior. All right, now let's go back to inferior. It's also supplied by the superior thyroid artery, which also supplies the middle superior thyroid artery. So now you have all those three. Another one that she pointed out was, let me see, double check, escaped my mind. Mm-mm-mm-mm. The salpingopharyngeus. So I could not find the salpingopharyngeus in there. Looked almost everywhere, almost being the key word, but I couldn't find it. And I believe that it's also going to be innervated by the pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve, like most of these. Um, oh, where did I go? Where did I go? Pharyngeal plexus of the vagus nerve. So salpingopharyngeus. Could not find it for my life, but yeah. So it originates from the auditory tube, is what she said, and it inserts in the side of the pharynx. So we're looking at the pharynx. Oh, oops, that was trippy. The side of the pharynx, and it's gonna insert there. I cannot find it, but maybe one day. And what did she said? It's so it inserts there, side of the wall of the pharynx, and vagus via pharyngeal plexus, and it elevates pharynx and larynx during swallowing and speaking. So it would have been nice to find it, but we could not find it. Medial thyroid. So our next one that she pointed out was the stylopharyngeus. And this is the stylopharyngeus. I know it's hard to see. I wanted to show it like the large side. Oh my. Let's move the middle out of the way. And let's move the, yeah, you can leave inferior out of the way. And now we have our stylopharyngeus. And that goes all that in. It's hard to focus on you, so I'll pull you out. And see how tiny it is and how skinny it is. I'll look at from this side, so we know it's here. We can put this back. Whoa, 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 whoa. We'll put this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back here, so we know it's inferior. Oh, yeah. superficial. It's deeper to these constrictors because the constrictors are superficial to it. So we have our focus. Yeah, stylopharyngeus. And our stylopharyngeus, what in the hell? So, originates from the styloid process. And let me see if we can find that. We have our styloid. Okay, it doesn't want me to specify, but we'll see later. It originates from. Okay, now you go away. And I will. Ding, ding, ding. Even out, it's still hard to focus on it. Yep. Originates from the styloid process and inserts in the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage. We'll see that when we get in there. And it functions to elevate the larynx and the pharynx. Same as the other one she mentioned, the salpingopharyngeus. Yes. So those elevates the larynx and pharynx, probably during speaking and swallowing. And it's innervated by the glossopharyngeus. So this is the only one in there that was innervated by a different thing. And courtesy to student Dr. Ann, he said that the stylopharyngeus has a different style, saying that it's the only one that has a different vibe to it. It's a different, fashion to it. And I guess the fashion would be what's putting on, what's making it go, what's making it tick, which would be the glossopharyngeal nerve. And the blood supply, as usual, is the ascending pharyngeal artery. So yeah, that's what we have for our stylopharyngeal muscle. We'll put that back. We'll put you back too. Now let's get into it and let's see it at a much better size. Now we'll go in and we won't get lost. So we have our inferior constrictor, pharyngeal constrictor, and we have our middle pharyngeal constrictor, superior, and we have a stylo pharyngeus right there runs inferior to anterior to to the middle pharyngeal constrictor and the inferior but posterior to the superior pharyngeal constrictor. And it inserts. Saying it inserts. Okay, now this is getting complicated. Where are you? You are here. Inserts posterior border of the thyroid cartilage, and that would be the thyroid cartilage if it was in there. Now let me see if I can put connective tissue. No, it's respiratory. Yep. So you have your thyroid cartilage, and that would be. Let me get in here. Force myself in here. Okay. Oops. Yep. Stylopharyngeus, thyroid cartilage, posterior border of the thyroid cartilage. No, that's where it inserts. And originates from, if we tossed on the skeletal muscle, we would find that it's temporal bone. Interesting. I thought it would be much more helpful than that because it originates from the styloid process. Maybe I need to get my anatomy right. Mandible, styloid. Okay, whatever. Take your word for it. Anyway, so that's your three muscles she talks about. And she talks about the nerves. So let's toss on the nerves. Take out you and take out you. And let's go outside of all of this to get situated. Now we could put you away. Info panel. You can go away. And we are going to go in here. So we have a larynx there, middle constrictor. So that's where we're going. And what do we have here? Hypoglossus. We have our glossopharyngeal. So our glossopharyngeal is the one that will innervate our stylopharyngeus because it runs right next to. Oops, let me run this way. It runs right next to each other. It runs across it, and it will innervate it. So it's going. We have our middle pharyngeal raphe constrictor, stylopharyngeus. Then we have our glossopharyngeus coming in and innervating it. Now, who are you? Hypoglossal nerve. Hypoglossal nerve is the one is in innervates motosensory for the whole tongue. Who are you? Proper. Yep, muscles of tongue. Yep, oral cavity. Yep. So this is gonna go in there and innervate all of the tongue, motor. So glossopharyngeus is also sensation, provides sensation to the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. And when you cut this, you won't have your sensation to the posterior 1/3. And it's also relevant because when you damage this same glossopharyngeus, not only that you're losing sensation or innervation to stylopharyngeus, it also provides your gag reflex. And when you cut this, you won't have any gag reflex when your palatine tarsals are touched. Anyways, let's find our pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve. Okay, so this right here, pharyngeal branch going into our longus. Okay, so it's disappearing all the way back there. Let me follow. Maybe it's just ending right there. Right? So it's gonna go connect to the phrenic nerve. Who knows? Maybe we can find out. Yep, it goes down. It looks like it just ends. It runs right by the phrenic nerve, so it just ends in there in the muscle in the longus cervices. Anyways, so we have our pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve, and we will go backwards so we could see it much larger. And it runs up here, and it innervates our superior pharyngeal constrictor. Then it runs back here, branching off to supply our middle and our inferior pharyngeal nerve. So we have goes up here, pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve, keeps going, and it joins with the glossopharyngeus. Okay, now that's interesting. Pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve joins with our glossopharyngeus, and the glosso. What are you doing here? Facial nerve. And who are you? Vestibular. Hey, how did I lose myself? Facial nerve. Facial nerve. Facial nerve. Where did it go? We'll go back to where we were. So we have our superior constrictor. We have a pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve. And it would have been nice to look at the vagus nerve. And okay, there it is. Oops. Our vagus nerve if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you get out of the way. Goes here, and our pharyngeal branch of vagus nerve comes in and innervates all that. Now, pharyngeal plexus of vagus nerve that also branches off of here too and goes in there. And here is where she had on the slide, and it looked like a bunch of networks together, as you can see there right here. And it keeps going. Pharyngeal plex nerve of the vagus nerve. And it keeps going. Pharyngeal branches of the glossopharyngeal. So that's the one I was looking at earlier. So you want the pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve coming off of more. Yeah. Learning this and being surprised with you all is interesting because you think you know what was going on, or I would know what's going on, but nope. I am finding out all of you. Glossopharyngeal. You could skip ahead if you want. Finally, we found it. The vagus nerve. Finally. So the vagus nerve runs along, and you probably don't know where we are right now in the anatomical position, but you have a vagus, and we have pharyngeal branches off of glossopharyngeal nerve because we have a glossopharyngeal also running around the same area right here, and it innervates the styloglossus. So glossopharyngeal will come up, and we'll have our pharyngeal branches off of vagus nerve going in into the back, also doing most of the innervation in there. But I'm suspecting that pharyngeal branches off of the vagus nerve, this nerve right here. Don't know where it branch off. Maybe they made a mistake in drawing it or making this because it's supposed to branch off somewhere. And yeah, that is most relevant for this one. Okay. This one is most relevant in innervating our superior pharyngeal, middle pharyngeal, and our inferior pharyngeal constrictors. Oh, my light turned off. Last but not least, palatopharyngeus. Now, I don't know if I located that muscle, but we will find it together. Middle thyroid, hypoglossus, my hyoid, longus. Nope. But anywho, I couldn't find that one. But what we want to know about that is we were in there in the esophagus. So we were in our constrictors, our superior constrictor. So now we're backing off into our surgical room, and we're gonna have our palatopharyngeus, and we don't have that in there, but she mentions that it originates from the hard palate and palatine aponeurosis, inserts in the posterior border of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. Okay, so we had our thyroid cartilage. We take out the muscles, we take out that. You have just you, and we have our thyroid cartilage. And so our posterior border of the thyroid cartilage is where posterior is where the muscle palatal, oh, the lamina of the thyroid cartilage. Is that the thyroid cartilage? Yes, so we got it right. Inside of the pharynx and esophagus. Yes, so that's how where our palatopharyngeus will originate. Will insert. It originates from the hard palate and the palatine aponeurosis. This looks like an aponeurosis. No. Okay, not maybe not. Um, and lastly, the innervation for palatopharyngeus would be pharyngeal branch of the vagus nerve, and pharyngeal plexus, and it functions to elevate, shortens and widens the pharynx and larynx during swallowing and speaking. So same as the salpingo pharyngeus and the stylopharyngeus. There you have it. Now my light turned off, so I'm gonna have to turn it back on. This is getting trippy, if you noticed. But yep, that will complete our innervation for the muscles, and we will do blood supply. So blood supply, drainage, and lymphatics next. All right.